You guys all set? Excellent. Good afternoon. My name is Will Guzzardi, Guzzardi. I'm state representative from the 39th District, and we're here to discuss House Bill 6628. I want to start by talking about the wall, the border wall with Mexico. It's been a central part of President-elect Trump's campaign since the very beginning, this big, beautiful wall that he's going to build on the border with Mexico. And I want to talk about walls for just a moment. Walls aren't terribly effective at keeping people out. The sections of our border that have walls on them already, they're full of holes. They've got tunnels underneath them. People are coming and going despite it. What walls are symbols. And Donald Trump's proposal to build a wall with our border is trying to send a message that the people on the other side of that wall are dangerous. The people on the other side of that wall are what's wrong with this country, and we don't want them in. That's the message of the wall. So we're here today to send a different message. The people of the state of Illinois overwhelmingly rejected Donald Trump's agenda of hate on election night. The people of the state of Illinois believe that immigrants are an important part of our community, that Illinois should be a welcoming state, a state that takes in everyone. And to that end, we don't believe that Illinois dollars should be used to help send a message of hate to immigrants in this country. So that's why we're standing here together, and that's why I've introduced House Bill 6628, which will divest Illinois' pension funds and investments from any company that takes a federal contract to build a border wall with Mexico. If Donald Trump wants to push through this wall, so be it. If he can get it through Congress, so be it. But the people of Illinois, our investments are not going to go to funding this project. We will direct the Illinois Investment Policy Board to conduct a review every quarter of companies that have taken contracts, and we will add those companies to a list that already exists, a restricted list, that would prevent Illinois from investing in those companies further. Now, briefly, to the people who would say, and I've heard it already, to the people who would say, well, our pension funds need to make a profit, don't they? I would say yes, absolutely. And there are a whole lot of companies that they can invest in, but we're not going to make a profit like this. To the people who would say, what about all the jobs that we'll create by building this wall with Mexico? Yes, we need to create jobs. We need to put people back to work. We need to build things in this country, but not like this. We're not going to invest in infrastructure that's divisive, that sends a message of hate. We're going to invest in the infrastructure that will lift up the people of this state and of every state in this country. That's what Illinois believes in. Those are the values that our state advocates for, and those are the values that we as legislators ought to be promoting in representing the people of our state. So I'm very excited to be carrying this bill. We'll be moving it in the legislature when we get back down there after Thanksgiving. So next week we'll start having hearings on the bill, and I'm hopeful that we'll have a vote on the House floor by the end of next week, and then we'll attempt to advance it in the Senate in January during the lame duck session. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over, first of all, to just want to let you know who's here with us. We have representatives from ICER, the Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights, leaders from Chicago Votes, and two of my colleagues to whom I'm going to turn the microphone over for just a moment, Representative Jamie Andrade and Representative Lisa Hernandez. So first, Representative Andrade.
Thank you very much. It's Jaime Andrade, Andrade. I'm the state representative from the 40th District. So I just wanted to come here and support my colleague for what we need to send a clear message. And the reason why I'm saying clear message is because our children, and specifically what happened to my child, my 6-year-old daughter, the next morning when my wife told my 6-year-old daughter that Hillary lost, she was so excited that maybe we're going to have the first woman president. And so when my daughter came to me and she said, Dad, I heard Hillary lost. I said, yes, Emily, maybe next time. She said, does that mean Mommy has to leave and Grandma has to leave the country? My wife is Peruvian, and my wife's mom is here visiting. And so I want to make sure that our children, legal, illegal, or unlegal, it doesn't matter, they are children. They need to know that Illinois is here and there will be with them and will stand with them. Under no circumstances are we going to destroy families. So I just wanted to say here, I'm standing here, and to make sure we have a clear message to our children in our society that they will not, the families will not be torn apart. Thank you very much.
Good morning. I'm State Representative Lisa Hernandez from the 24th District. I am also the co-chair of the Illinois Legislative Latino Caucus. I first want to thank Representative Guzzardi for taking the courage to bring forth this piece of legislation. For so long has Illinois been a leading state in terms of welcoming immigrants. We have really hit some strong, large milestones to put the lives of immigrants in a better state. I commend Representative Guzzardi. Why? Because I think the state has already have a proven record of being immigrant friendly, and this certainly sends a statement that Illinois is a blue state, that we are not going to tolerate divisiveness, and this is a direction that Illinois is going to take. So I think that instead of investing dollars in a wall, we should be investing more so in schools, in university. It's about building bridges, not building walls. So I am strongly supporting the efforts of Representative Guzzardi, and I am looking forward to working with the rest of my colleagues and bringing legislation that brings Illinois in the front of hopefully bringing other states to join us in the efforts. Thank you.
Thank you to my colleagues and to everyone who's here with us. One last point that I neglected to make in my opening remarks, and then we'll turn it over to questions. I think this bill will present a very clear opportunity for our governor to let the people of this state know where he stands. I think for too long during this campaign, Governor Rauner has been silent on the words and actions of President-elect Trump. He hasn't told us, how does he feel about appointing white supremacists to the highest levels of the White House? Governor Rauner's been silent. How does he feel about this anti-immigrant agenda that Donald Trump is pushing? Governor Rauner has been silent. So when we get this bill to the governor's desk, I believe it will be an opportunity for the governor to tell us where he stands. And I hope very sincerely that he will send a message to the people of Illinois that he stands with our values by signing this bill. But I think it's high time that the governor make a statement about where he stands and how he feels about this critically important issue. With that being said, I will now turn it over for questions. So, yes. You know, the leadership and rank and file members alike have been very receptive. I sent a note to my colleagues telling them about this bill, and many have written back to me who wish they could have been here today, but who've asked to be co-sponsors of the legislation. And my conversations with leadership have been really, really constructive as well about this, and I feel optimistic that we're going to be able to get it moved in a timely fashion. You know, the speaker, I think we've been working together to try to get this bill moving, and I feel optimistic that he's going to be a helpful ally in this fight. No, the bill is particularly about pension funds and investments that the state makes. The Illinois Investment Policy Board already keeps what's called a restricted list of companies that, based on other state statutes, those funds can't invest in. And so this would simply add another criterion to that list. So those funds would be prohibited from making investments in these companies. So no, that's not the language of the bill. The contracts that are referred to in the bill is companies contracting with the federal government to build the wall. So those are the companies that the policy board will look at. So they'll look to see if you contract with the federal government, then we will not invest using these funds in your company. Other questions? Not yet, and there were some news stories about this bill also in which the governor refused to comment, which seems to be his pattern on this issue. And I think this legislation is going to require that the governor make some sort of comment, stand. Yeah, absolutely. I think that the governor, it's been disappointing, I think, to many of us. I'll speak for myself. It's been very disappointing to me that our governor, the governor of this state, hasn't come out and repudiated some of the most offensive rhetoric and decisions that President-elect Trump has made. I think it's incumbent on all of us in public office to say where we stand, right? To tell the people whom we represent how we feel, whether we think that this kind of language and action has a place in public life or not. I certainly don't think it does, but the governor, I think, it seems, is trying to play to his base of Trump supporters while also not offending other folks, right? So he's trying to duck this problem, and that's unacceptable. It's immoral and it's unacceptable. The governor needs to tell us where he stands and how he feels. So we reached out to the treasurer's office about this. Unfortunately, the treasurer is not available today, but he'll be, after the holiday, he'll be available for comment on this issue, I'm sure, as well. All right, thank you all for your time. Thanks for being here.